We're joined now by the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar. Secretary Azar, thank you for joining us this morning. As we just heard, there are still so many issues surrounding testing here in the United States. We're still hearing from doctors they can't get the tests they need. So just lay out the bottom lines right now. How many Americans have been tested? How many will be tested? And what is that likely to mean for the number of cases here in the United States?
So, George, the key thing your viewers need to know is that we have and always have had the capacity to test anybody who's suspected of novel coronavirus. Right now, we have millions of tests available. Anybody who's a person under investigation, suspected by medical professionals or by public health officials, is going to get tested, will get tested, and we'll get that data if they're a positive case.
Let's talk about these containment measures we're seeing. New Rochelle being contained right now. Washington State expected to announce today really a ban on any kind of large gatherings. And Dr. Fauci was pretty sober yesterday afternoon. How much more of this are we going to need? More of these containment measures are we going to need to prevent a big spike in cases?
Yeah, George, we're going to see very aggressive efforts to try to mitigate and contain this situation. We commend New York. We commend Washington. We're embedded with them, working closely. In fact, today, we're going to be releasing the CDC's recommendations to various jurisdictions that have had clusters. And we're going to lean in, as the vice president said. We're going to be always recommending fairly aggressive measures, because if we can slow the spread, if we can contain these clusters in certain communities, bring that speed down, the hope, of course, is that, like most respiratory diseases, as we get to warmer weather, as people disperse and just naturally distance themselves with outdoor activities, etc., this can help actually slow things down. So we're working always to buy time so that we mitigate impact here in the United States.
So does that mean events like the NCAA tournament are going to have to be rescheduled?
I think any type of large gatherings have to be assessed by the organizers, but it needs to be considered in community context. But then each of us as individuals, we need to assess whether it makes sense for us to go to large gatherings. And we have made it clear, if you're elderly and are medically fragile, or if you're medically fragile generally of any age, you really should avoid large gatherings. You should avoid long travel, certainly avoid getting on a cruise ship. So always think about your own situation, the circumstances of your community, and the nature of what you're planning to do.
You mentioned the timeline. This all began in China, of course. They're slowly starting to turn things around there, although there's been some back and forth right there. Can you give people a sense of where we are here in the United States with that timeline? Is this the beginning, the middle, the beginning of the end?
So, China's gotten this very much, very aggressive action. I think they had only 46 new cases the other day, but we're seeing a real explosion of cases in Europe. We're seeing increasing cases here in the United States, which we've been clear we would see. We're still, I'd say, in the beginnings of the spread of this disease in the United States, but that's why we're taking such aggressive containment measures at the border, as well as mitigation steps in local communities, as I said, to try to slow the spread. We need to be really clear. We've been clear from the start. We're going to see more cases. This is a virus. This will spread. We need to take steps to slow that, buy ourselves time. Every day we buy is a valuable day in terms of spreading, and that's why aggressive efforts are needed and public cooperation is important.
Secretary Azar, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you, George.
Boy, that was a pretty sobering headline there from the Secretary. Just the beginnings of the spread here in the United States.
We heard that loud and clear, George. Thank you. Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.